we have Simone Di Zio. He is co-chair of the Millennium Project in Italy. I'm sure many of you know him. And then we have Yuri Calleo from the University College of Dublin. So both of them, they created or developed something quite interesting that they will share today. So thank you, first of all, for both of you for joining the stage today and sharing your wisdom. What you will demonstrate in just a minute is the Real-Time Spatial Delphi platform or method. That is basically a platform, which you will see in just a minute. And how they described it to us, we only saw it very shortly. We didn't really test it, but we will test it today with you together. So this platform allows to facilitate spatial consent for example, complex scenario planning, or for policy development, and probably much more that is still to be discovered. So we're excited to hear and learn more about this method, about this platform. And over to you, Simone, for the first introduction.
Okay. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Nick and FEN community. And I go to share my screen. So, yeah, Lena, thank you. You are right, because I will explain the method and Yuri will explain the platform. So both things. And so just a few words about the method called the Real-Time Spatial Delphi. We start from the Delphi some years ago with the support and collaboration of Ted Gordon. I developed the Spatial Delphi. And then the evolution of this method is called the Real-Time Spatial Delphi. So to explain the Spatial Delphi, I give you some insight in this regard. When a decision problem regards finding an optimal location, an optimal geographical location on the territory, we can have different problems. For example, a decision problem could be choosing an optimal location for a specific intervention. Imagine best location for goods or services. But also imagine in the future, we want to find vulnerability of places for events like catastrophic events or terrorism. Or even, I'm much interested in these geographical areas where future scenarios are more plausible. And finally, also, we can search for underground things, underground materials in archaeological surveys, for example, mining, olefins, and many other possible applications. But to explain the Spatial Delphi, I prepared a parallel with the classical Delphi that most of you know. In the classical Delphi, the first thing is the building of the panel. So you make a panel expert, and the same thing we do with the Spatial Delphi. The second step is building a questionnaire. In a classical questionnaire, for example, you can ask the probability or the impact of an event. And in our case, we have a digital map. So the questionnaire, I call it the geographical questionnaire, is a map. And we ask the panel to give a point on that map. So the answer is exactly placing a point on the map. After that, in the classical Delphi, you get a distribution of answers, a statistical distribution. And on this distribution, you can calculate some statistics, such, for example, the median or the interquartile range and something like that. In our case, in the Spatial Delphi, we get a cloud of points. On this cloud, we calculate a circle containing 50% of the points, because 50% is the analogous of the interquartile range. So we have half the distribution of answers. After that, we prepared the second questionnaire in a classical Delphi. And for example, you can ask the panel to give answers to the same question, but for example, possibly inside the interquartile range. And sometimes for external answers, for answer outside the bounds, you ask to give motivations, written motivations. In the same way, in our geographical questionnaire, we have the digital map, and we ask to give the points again, but inside the circle. And also in this case, for external answers, we ask motivation. So in the same way of the classical Delphi. And finally, we iterate a number of times this procedure. And finally, we stop, for example, when we get consensus or stability. In the classical Delphi, consensus can be measured, for example, when the interquartile range is small enough. In our case, the consensus that I call geoconsensus is obtained when the circle is smaller enough respect to the initial one. But also we can measure stability, and Yuri maybe will explain technically how we can measure these characteristics. This is an example of one of the first applications. So you see in the first round the points given by the experts, the circle containing 0.5%, the 50% of the points. And after 3 rounds, we get on the right a smaller circle, very small circle that represent conceptually the geographical consensus. So it's very simple to answer, very intuitive to understand. And also by measuring some aspect of these circles, we can get a number of statistics that measure the consensus and the stability of the answers. So we can calculate the radius, the area, the position, the percentage of the area of the circle in respect to the area of study, and a number of other measures that can be calculated. So the next passage was from the spatial Delphi to the real-time spatial Delphi. So this method combines the advantages of the real-time Delphi by Ted Gordon with those of the spatial Delphi. So we have, again, opinions points on a digital map, but in real time. So the experts put the points on the map, and automatically a circle appears, moves and shrinks in real time. And the interesting thing is that in real time, we have a lot of interesting feedbacks, because we have the clouds of points, we have circles, we have flags, we have comments of the expert. In these days, we are implementing also word clouds that are a synthesis of the comments of the experts. Also, we have heat maps, clusters, and recently, Yuri get another type of feedback, that is the geographical sketch. In other words, we will see later, expert can give also points and polygons on the map, describing some particular aspects. So, in my opinion, last thing, in my opinion, you know, on the top of this picture, we have the cone of the future. So this represents, let's say, non-spatial scenarios. So the principal points is the temporal dimension of the scenario. With our system, we want to add another aspect, that is the spatial dimension. So in my opinion, in the future, this could this could represent an integrated approach to foresight, in the sense that we put together the temporal and the spatial dimension. So in a things that I call integrated spatial temporal approach in the foresight context. So this is a brief explanation of the method. And now I give the floor, I give the screen to Yuri. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I don't know if you already had the opportunity to check our website. And thank you for joining us today. And this is our website, so where the platform is implemented. And we call this platform Real-Time Geospatial Consensus System. And it's a platform. In this website, we give all the, let's say, information about the platform. Actually, we developed this platform in 2022, and we are in a beta mode, so it's completely free. Anyone can create their own survey. And by accessing the survey section and requesting, let's say, to be enabled by the admin of the platform, they can be registered. And when they log in on the platform, they have a survey that we call a spatial survey, right? A geographical survey. So in this case, this is the main interface. Of course, we are dealing with a geographical aspect. So the main point is a map on the platform. And you can see on the left a section where all the tools or the information are integrated. So we have an attachment section where the admin can add new documents, any materials that, as you know, panelists can consult in the Delphi method. This is useful because it's integrated in the platform, so we don't have to attach documents by email that could be time-consuming, for example. And after the attachment section, you can see another section. In this section, we can introduce the research context, or also we can introduce the questions, right? So clicking here, we can select our questions and we can start to answer the question. But before that, this is the admin mode. So we have a menu in the backend where we can add, of course, we can create our questions by starting by, let's say, create questions. So if we want to create a new question, we can create multiple questions, adding the questions, adding a new description, and asking, as we see later, to select when we insert a new point, for example, the priority or the plausibility, depends on the research context, right? And also we can insert the coordinates, because when we click on the questions, we directly go to the, let's say, country or city of our interest. And from this backend, we have all the results, and we are able to update documents, we update the map description. And extremely useful is that we can approve or reject panelists, so that we avoid, let's say, external people from the panel. And the survey can be shared by a link, so it's extremely useful. And from this link, the panelists can have access. So let's see how it works if I select the questions. In this case, we set Rome as a geographical location and as a time horizon 2050. These points are randomly inserted, placed by me. So let's think about 2015. Which area of Rome is a terrorist attack most plausible to occur, right? So these are exactly the judgments of the expert. So where the expert thinks that is more plausible that these events occur, right? And this circle is exactly what Simone explained. So the 50% of the point, and this is exactly the geoconsensus radius. This circle shrinks, move, and large, it depends on the points. And once we select the question, we can add our opinions by inserting a point. As you can see, an automatic windows appears asking the plausibility in this case of the choice. and we can answer with a Likert scale from 1 to 5. And we can add, for example, high plausibility, we can add the points. And you can see, if my internet connection works, the circle change, no? And of course, if you want to place a circle outside of the geoconsensus radius of the circle, the systems ask us to motivate our answer, because this is actually how the Delphi works. And this is because other experts, for example, if I write opinion 1, I don't know, this is because exactly our expert can revise their opinion, right? So starting from this point, we can also comment at any time others' opinions anonymously, of course, as you can see. And these are the geospatial, let's say, pins, what we call experts' opinion points, right? So another implementation we did in the last weeks is the ability to add different points, because sometimes experts want to inform us about an event, about a future, I don't know, event or something that already happened, but they don't want to change the convergence, let's say. So we can click on descriptive layers, and these green pins are exactly this. So if I want to inform the research team that in this street something already happened, sorry, I didn't select descriptive points, I can write here, no? So as you can see, this pin doesn't affect the circle. At the same point, we can, of course, draw on the map an area. If I want to say that this area is, I don't know, most plausible that an event occurs, as you can see, we can add this area as a point, as a polygons. And all these polygons, all these points, all the descriptive points can be commented at any time, right? So starting from that, from a GIS perspective and analysis, we can see another perspective, let's say a cluster map. As you can see here, there are different clusters, or also interesting, we can see a heat map. As you can see, these are the points, and this is the heat map, so the closest one, right? So from the backend, these are the results that we obtain. So we have, for example, all these coordinates, the radius, how it changed, the emails, the plausibility, and the date with the time, right? We can export easily in CSV file. So starting from that, we can do different analysis. So as you can see here, this is a paper that we published, I think, last month. We can do with the radius and with the let's say the time and the date. As you can see, this is how the circle moves. So this is the circle history, right? And also when Simone said about
we cannot see the paper. We still see the.
Sorry, because it's a question. Just a moment. I share my screen. Okay, now you can see it, right?
Yes, now yes.
Okay, so this is the history of the circle, as you can see here in this other case, how the convergence been obtained. And also when Simone talked about the stability, because at this time, the real time, let's say when we have to finish the exercise, we're looking for the stability. As you can see, this is how the radius went around, let's say, over the days. And this is where the stability have been achieved. As you can see in this case study, we achieved a stability in around 1 month. We did other case studies and we achieved, let's say, a stability in 10, 15 days, which is extremely useful because we solved one of the problem of the Delphi, which is the time-consuming, let's say, time frames. So at this point, I think for the question we have a space later, but if you have any quick questions, we can do it now, because I'm going to share with you an exercise that we are going to do, right? So just a moment, sorry. Okay. So I'm sharing with you a link.
Yuri, we actually have a question.
Yeah, if you have any just brief questions about the platform before the exercise.
It is an awesome platform, and especially in civil emergencies, you know, from environmental catastrophes all the way to forest fires, which is obviously used by mafia, and it's used across multiple countries, you know, and it is set to increase, and especially with the current weather emergency. So I guess it's also scalable and easily employable in those domains as well. It's very versatile.
Yeah. This is really useful in different contexts. We're using in Foresight, we're still using in climate change, transport facilities. We're trying to expand, let's say, the fields of applications. Yeah.
Looking forward to the discussions at the end. Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to share with you a link so you can have access to this platform and this new survey. So let's keep in mind that when we decide the topic, as you probably know, we didn't know about your expertise, we didn't know about your geographical location, so we decide a random topic. I mean, we are talking about security in the city of Rome, which I think all of you know. So please, you can have access to this survey now. I'm going to enable you when I receive. You can insert your email. Okay, I'm going to allow you, and you can refresh the page and you have access immediately. Okay. Okay, I enabled you. I don't know if anyone else is going to. Okay. Are you able to see the platform, the survey?
No.
No? Someone is working on it, so wait just a second.
Yes, we have to choose the question.
Yeah, you have to choose the questions. I insert a pin on the map.
For me, it works well.
Sorry?
It works well for me.
Okay, great.
So the system works.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe because I'm still allowing some people, because you have to refresh the page. Now I will load all the people. I don't know if someone else is still subscribing.
Crystal clear.
And Yuri, can we select multiple points?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Okay. I'm allowing the others that are still subscribing. Okay.
So here's a question while you're doing that, Yuri. Rome is not too stationary because you have flows of colossal amount of people, including illegal migrants and so forth, you know, individuals at risk of radicalization or can be easily gasolina can be used and so forth, especially, and it is kind of a round the clock. I mean, it's a great start. It is a wonderful start. So perhaps is that going to be the vision for the next platform, or is it going to be an add-on? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The circle is moving.
Yeah. You can place also descriptive points on polygons as you think is opportune. Yeah.
There is a small cluster in the Vatican City.
Vatican City, yeah. Also, the Colosseum is really.
Yuri, how do you comment somebody else's pin?
By clicking on the pin, and on the left, you go down and there is write comment.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
And Yuri, would I get a notification if somebody commented my pin?
No, at the moment, no.
Okay.
But thank you for the feedback. I'm going to write it.
Yes, this could be an option.
Yeah. Because at the moment we don't, when you have access to the survey, you don't have a profile. So it's difficult for now to add this implementation. But I think because we did this to simplify the process, because experts have to registering, add information on their profile. But in this case, if they have the link, they just have access with the email and it's easy. We don't bother them more than we do.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yuri, I have a message. Your email is awaiting approval from the map
Yeah,
administrator.
sorry, I'm going to allow immediately. So now you're allowed. Yeah, just refresh the page.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Circle is still moving.
Yeah, still moving. Yeah. They're actually 2 kilometers square. Yeah, 2 kilometers square circle.
You know, it would be easier to if we had a field to write the street name or the
Okay.
building. Because, well, I'm Italian. I was looking for my things there on the map, but it was, oh well, I don't really remember the name of the place, of the square, of the street, and yeah, you see
Alright.
it there, but you're not sure it's the one you're looking for, because
But
I
also,
just
Thank you.
people.
Mara,
Yeah.
also on the right bottom of the page, you can change the visualization. You can choose satellite streets.
Yeah.
Like in Google Map, you can change the.
Okay. Yeah.
It could be handy to be able to search for
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
specific location. If
It
you
would
Maybe
be
if you're a
useful.
local expert.
Google.
That's marvelous.
Very, very intriguing.
And Yuri, if I am correct, we can also make different questions on the same exercise.
Yeah, we can do a lot of questions. Yeah.
So
We don't
we
have
can
like
have multiple circles, one for each question.
yeah, exactly.
On this exercise, I'd be interested in seeing where the police stations are. Could I designate that?
Yeah, it will be amazing. So starting from that, we want to implement by, for example, the admin can add a layer. If we have let's say the position of the, you say, police stations, we already give to the panelists a map with these points, right? With this information. So they can know, they can have all this information already on the map without consulting the documents, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be useful.
One of the things I would also suggest is pickpockets. Pickpockets in the sense that they have versatility and ingenuity and perhaps historical data as to how they behave, how they act, and so forth, because they're kind of you could see them as not really on the move, but really on the prowl. So looking for targets, but also very high situational awareness. And then obviously the law enforcement is on the other side trying to really hunt the would-be predators. And so there's that guy. It's very much, I guess, cyclical, but necessary. And this brings it to a wonderful on-screen game.
Great.
I see a comment or a question from Diana in the chat. Do you want to ask your question? Yeah.
Yes. Can we remove a pin?
No, it can be removed only from the admin section, not from the user.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
But consider this a free association. Sorry, please.
Yeah, just Simone, I don't know if you thought about, I mean, if in the previous like exercise, users could remove the pins once inserted.
No, but it is an interesting point because maybe someone put a point for error. So it
can remove it if it enter by mistake, but because before entering the points there is the automatic window, so he has to do a double mistake before inserting the pin.
Methodologically speaking, the expert can put many points. So for example, if you put 10 points and only 1 point is wrong, it doesn't affect the distribution of points, statistically speaking. As you can see now, it's very difficult to change the dimension of the circles because we have many points. At the beginning, if you put 1 point outside or inside, the circle moves very fast. It's the concept of the median of the distribution.
Yes.
And also another important point, Yuri, is that as a base, as a background map, a part of this one or satellite and so on, we can also use the results or the outputs of previous studies. For example, imagine to have a study on the terrorism, a study on, as we done some years ago with TED, we made a service on lone wolf terrorism, and then results can be represented on a map, and that map can be used as background for this kind of exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mara, I share my screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah,
the circle
I
is not
said
moving.
because I said because we're recording, so maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to add a point just to show how it works.
Yuri, if you, just a funny thing, if you zoom out.
Yes.
Very far, yeah, yes, here.
Yeah.
No. On the Lazio and Abruzzo, let's say.
Yeah.
Lazio, Abruzzo. You show the polygon. Can you show the polygons? Yes. So I put this polygon because here is where I live.
Okay.
Where we live,
Yuri
and Mara more or less are in this side of Italy.
Almost there. Almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not dangerous from the terrorist point of view.
Please,
yeah, this
you have
is
another
the
question.
head map. Yeah, just
two quick comments. We have experienced a terrible earthquake, and both the lack of preparedness and inability to act has dissipated. It's also very useful in civil emergencies and in means of how to react, what to do, and those. And from my first-hand experience in counterterrorism, anytime you have an association or an intuition or just random thought, it is useful, because the more points you put into an area, it's always the better. So it's kind of like the holoptic vision of Frank Spencer, but also a lot of the CT guys have been doing it, and a lot of the times, let's say, either wanted people or would-be terrorists they do a lot of reconnaissance. They do their homework, so catching them whilst they're doing their homework and understanding their associates is even better. So that it also has that kind of a functionality. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very interesting. Also, yeah, for different fields in different way, methodological speaking, if it can be used at the end of a process or at the beginning, as Simone said. Yeah.
In your computation, do you give weight to the plausibility answer as you move the points? So is everybody counted equally, or are some people more affecting to the circle than others?
Yeah, we thought about it. We thought to give a weight to the plausibility or to this scale with Simone. Do you remember, Simone?
Yeah. In this case, we use the Likert scale only to build the heat map, but another option is to use the weights to move the circle.
Yes.
Yes, another option. Yes, that.
I like that. Have you used it in a real study yet?
Yeah, we use it actually in two studies. Actually, in one with 10 European coastal cities about climate change impacts. We develop scenarios, and one in decision making from a future perspective for the identification of parcel lockers and loading bays in the city of Dublin. And we achieved in all these cases a consensus, let's say. And in this second case studies, as I said before, we achieved stability in only 10 days. So that was amazing, with more than 40 panelists.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
There was a question from Elizabeth.
No, I lowered my hands. Thank you.
Okay.
So actually we have a circle of 1 kilometer square, sorry.
Good.
So I think, Simone, it's almost good. Also in other case studies, I think we achieved less, but for this demonstration, we have a good portion of the territory. I mean,
Yuri, would you mind sharing your screen again? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Another step forward, Yuri, if I can.
Yeah.
Another step forward is to detect cluster of points, because we start with one circle. One circle means there is one optimal location, one place. There is a consensus on one location of the city. But maybe from the same question, we can have 2 or more best location. So future development of this system is to create a cluster of points, and then starting from one circle, the system automatically show 2 or 3 or n circles. Because sometimes there is no consensus, not because the panelists don't have an idea of the best place, but because there are more than one best place. But Yuri is working on this, so it's not yet implemented.
No, yeah, we do it. I hope sooner.
Yes.
It would be amazing. Also, for example, today we had this problem, but if we had this algorithm, you can choose your city where you were most experts. We had like multiple convergence, let's say, for the territory. That would be useful in the future. Yeah, I think the circle stopped.
I'm gonna jump in, not as the host, but as a question asker.
Yeah.
While I was playing with this, I found myself wishing to have more debate and discussion with the other panelists, and didn't find that the interface really drove that kind of participation. So like you couldn't negotiate the likelihood of a pin, for example, that somebody else had dropped, or comment on somebody else's comment, which I know you said you're going to add this comment on other comments.
Yeah.
But I think this like being able to debate the likelihood part is kind of a key feature of the Delphi method, as that's like one of the aspects that it's kind of designed to develop, is like discussion about probabilities. And so it'd be nice to have that kind of feature where people could discuss that. And the other comment I had about it, I guess I don't have questions, I have comments, I'm sorry. the other comment, the other thing that I was experiencing was like I don't know Rome very well, so I was just making some funny things up. And so it'd be so I started asking, why am I asked to motivate my answer when I'm outside the circle, but not motivate my answer when I'm inside the circle? Like, wouldn't it be appropriate to ask for motivations no matter where you're adding input? And then furthermore, would it be more important to ask about assumptions about the future rather than motivations, so that people can really start to explicate why they're even thinking like this is the place where this would be likely to happen? So those are my two sorts of big thoughts that I had while I was using. I guess it's 3. There's this like inside outside the circle aspect, like shouldn't everybody be motivating their answers? There's this discussion of the likelihood kind of aspect, and then there's this like being able to like get into like the qualitative discussion about what matters about the point. So I guess, are these things that you've already been thinking about, and if so, what's in your map of developments for it?
Yeah, I think for the first comments about the comments, yeah, we have more to like focus. We are focusing more on the comments, expert comments, because at the moment you have to click on the pins, you have to specifically look at the comments on the section. But we are planning to do something like word cloud, so that you have like immediately a perspective of the comments, that you're more interested and motivated. But also if we can also topic analysis. So if we act with textual analysis, will be amazing to work together. And regarding the motivate your answer outside of the circle, is because the Delphi logic is this is the methodology. Like when you are outside of the, let's say, the interquartile range, you have to motivate your answer. And regarding the feedback about the motivate your answer or other sentences, of course we can change that sentence. So each of the admin can change also these questions by the panel. So we are planning to do this, yeah. I don't know, Simone, if you want to add something.
No, the word cloud is an interesting point, because it's very difficult for an expert read all the comments and interpret all the comments. So synthesis by topic analysis. Yuri is an expert with the latent direct allocation with the textual analysis. And so showing a word cloud that is a synthesis of all the comments, in my opinion, is a good way to give a feedback. And we are working on this.
Could I click on a word in the word cloud and find the detail that went into it?
This is
we can do it.
That's amazing. Yes, a very, very good idea.
That's interesting.
Because bigger words are those used the most frequently.
Most frequent.
This is a very, very interesting idea, Ted. There is Elizabeth.
Yeah, I had the impression that somehow what I want to ask was already addressed, but I didn't get the point. Is it possible to agree with the point? So instead of adding more points in the same location, if I put a point somewhere, but I also agree with some other pins, instead of adding a pin there, can I just put something, a plus, or if I agree on a scale from 1 to 5, and I agree just, let's say, 2 out of 5, 5 being the maximum, 2 being yes, maybe, but it's not my preference to put a pin there, but that I agree with the fact that that person might have a point, and I would like to put a 2 there. Is it possible?
At the moment, we are doing like this. So if you agree with the point, you can comment the point, and you can write, for example, I agree, but if you want to specify the scale, like for you, this point is not the maximum plausibility, but is high. At this point, you can only comment, and we take into consideration the comments from a, let's say, qualitative perspective.
Comment, right. I could comment,
yeah.
But it's not possible to rate a point, a pin.
No, absolutely.
Right?
No, at the moment. No, at the moment.
Okay. Do you think about adding that feature or not really?
We didn't think before, but actually this could be useful, no, Simone?
Yes, because this is an important aspect, because the point is the geographical part of the survey, and the comments and the rating scale are the non-geographical aspect. So maybe we have to reason about consensus on both geographical and non-geographical opinions. This is what I call the integrated approach. So you have to study, Elizabeth give a good point, because we have to study how to give the possibility of different rating, but also consensus only on the Likert scale and not on the geographical sense. And even as talked with Ted Gordon, the classical real-time Delphi another option to implement on the platform, because in my opinion are all different aspects of the same problem.
You can see
Right,
the list
that's
of
exactly what I meant. So to see consensus not only regionally but also on different pins.
Exactly, not only the geographical one, but also non-geographical one.
yeah, and I just said in the chat the workout and ratings would be interesting. I'll just underline this point, and I can see the list of ideas, I think, getting longer and longer by testing this with us.
I second Elizabeth's view, because you not only have low signal, false signal, no signal. There's a whole multitude of things. So just the pickpockets and terrorists. And let me take you all to another domain. Obviously, this is a product in development, and I wish you all the best to have multiple and newer versions. Infectious diseases. COVID during the pandemic, Italy suffered a lot. And you know, people are constantly moving, changing places, and both from a public health standpoint, but also from the perspective of emergency medicine, it has been very challenging. So perhaps, obviously, this is not something that's going to be done perhaps this year, but in the coming years, engaging with the medical community, because they're very much idealists, and practically they were our soldiers whilst they were, I mean, they were wearing their uniforms. So engaging with that community, I think, would also greatly help. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about the emergency we're having here. I'm in Bologna at the moment, region of Emilia-Romagna. So this platform for checking potential emergencies in advance in case of you know, meteorological problems could be really useful. I mean, we've had deaths, and you know, it's a tough situation at the moment, and it's not the first time. So, but Italy and other countries as well, anyway.
Yuri, if you can share your screen, I would like to add one thing to the discussion. And I'm thinking about if you click on the heat map.
Yeah, just a second. Okay. Share. Yes. All right.
So in my opinion, the heat map is a first attempt to give visibility to the rating of the points in a feedback fashion. Because here you can see that the red location get more higher rating on the non-geographical question. So more or less, this is a first attempt in the direction expressed by Elizabeth. But of course, we have to improve this and give the possibility to the experts to add only the non-geographical opinion.
We have another question in the chat. Useful platform in the EU resilient mechanism. Do they use it? Yeah.
Which kind of resilience? Do you mean climate change or?
Resilience mechanism involves all resilience plans at EU country level, and in all components. That mean climate change, social resilience, and economic resilience.
Yeah, we did a case study for these 10 European coastal cities with a EU project that we developed scenarios for the resilience of coastal areas. So we asked different questions about developing special scenarios for the impacts on the territory, for example, for flood risk, for waterfall, for, I don't know, heavy temperature, this kind of things. So yes, we already used in a project of the EU resilience. So it worked really well.
And also, Yuri, you know, we didn't we don't have application, but another idea of ours is the use of this system in terms of public participation. So not only experts. So maybe one possible application is in the sense of resilience or other things, but for people, for public participation.
Yeah, in citizen science. Yeah,
exactly. Yes,
it's extremely useful. So yeah, because actually the platform existent there are, of course, GIS participatory platform, but in this case, the spatial Delphi logic is useful to achieve that convergence that we don't have in other platform. Because in other platform we can have clusters, yes, but they don't identify like they don't achieve consensus among experts. Because if we have in a city different clusters around the territory, we don't have we don't have a portion of the territory, but we have different portion that we have to apply decision on different parts of the city compared to a small circle, right?
It is very useful to detect inflection points in systemic analysis.
I think we have many ideas of further applications. This tool really sparked a lot. Ted, you had another question.
I have another question. It would be useful, I think, to show areas that are excluded from an answer. You cannot locate your airport here, but show me where else it might go.
Yeah.
And so on.
That would be extremely useful. So yeah.
So good, Yuri. Is it possible to exclude areas?
But what do you mean?
I mean, like Ted said, if I put a point on the sea, the system could tell me you cannot do this.
Oh yeah, we can implement it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we can select an area where a point cannot be placed.
Yes, good.
Then automatic windows appears and said you cannot select this area because of X and Y. Yeah. This is the useful implementation. Yeah.
I take note of all these comments.
Yeah, I'm doing it. At the end, I'm going to share also a Google form, please, if you can fill in also. I have your feedback about if you can, it would be amazing.
You have other 3 years of work.
Time is the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Nick, sorry, you wanted to say?
Well, I wonder about this in relation to like other types of Delphi tools. One of the limitations of the tool is that it can just sort of like reinforce existing ideas about the future. And so what kind of raises in my mind is like, how can this tool be implemented in a way to sort of invite surprising futures or unusual ideas about the future? But that might be just a matter of like how a user chooses to apply it. I mean, there is value in airing what people's expectations about the future are, because then it can kind of help people choose things. But there's also benefit in sort of like challenging what people think the future will be like and why. And I'm wondering like what kind of elements in this tool would sort of like open up that sort of active discussion about why people believe the future would be a certain way or not, so that people can kind of go further with their ideas. Anyways, comments I have, more comments. It's really exciting.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Then I give it back to you. What's next?
I think,
Simone,
if you wanted to answer to this, or yeah.
Because I have a question for all of you. Starting from Ted, my question is, what do you think if we have, for example, four future scenarios, how we can use these scenarios as input of that system, or after this exercise, how can we use the output of this exercise for building future scenarios?
I was going to make a comment along those same lines, Simone, so thank you. Well, it would seem to me you can start by saying, we want to make this area of the city look like a medieval escape replication. If you go into this area, excuse me, we want to end up 20 years from now with all the buildings built in a certain style. And you could start by giving a set of instructions that are not demanding that they move their pin somewhere, but suggest what your goal is overall. You can say our goal is to separate airports from residential areas. Our goal is, well, you did it once, Simone. You did it in the red light district on the East Coast. You said, yes, this is what we want to locate. So that starts in your preamble, and people follow your instructions and end up locating whatever it is they're locating in accordance with your overall instructions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
And that leads you to, and Nicholas, your comment led me to think about how this could be made dynamic. If the circle is here, then what must happen as a result geographically? If we locate the red light district here, we certainly can't put schools there. And so where do the schools move, and so on? And it's a chain that moves down from there. If you can find such relationships. Yes. We can't put factories here because the output would kill all the greenery downstream. That's the exclusion thing I talked about before.
I remember, I don't know, Ted, if you remember, my first application was about earthquake, and the question was one question, which is the safest place, and the other question was which is the dangerous place. So in some sense, I imagine two circles, one green and one red.
Ah, good.
In the same time, you can ask the best and the worst place. And so you have two different circles. One is red and one is green.
Uh-huh. I like that. It's good.
Maybe it's an option, Yuri.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting also to integrate in one map at the end with GIS software.
Just putting two questions and change the color, one in red or green.
Yes.
It's easy to implement this, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good, then. Thank you.
Could be done in real time or later, but also in real time it could be extremely useful. And I can see some questions in the chat.
Yes.
Bezier, I think you're talking about anonymous answers, right? Because at the moment they are anonymously. We can see, only the admin can see the email of the panelists from the backend. So other panelists, they cannot see the others' answers.
I mean, I will wait for the recording to stop and then provide some experience from counterterrorism so that it's useful to the platform you are developing, but also for the panelists.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
And then we have a question from Liana. Or it's an example, I think, from your work.
Yeah, it's an example. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, I saw it.
Very interesting. Where would you build such islands? Yeah. Islands of climate mitigation. Then we have Elizabeth.
Yeah, again a question, but actually it's an extension and combination between what Ted said with the color coding and what I was thinking before for the consensus building. What about if you would have the pin dropping color coded? So if you really think and it's a 5, you put a red. If you think it's only maybe a 4, it's an orange, yellow, and so on, whatever color coding. So when people drop the pin, instead of dropping only a blue or green, or blue pin, I think it was, to choose the color, depending on how confident the person is in that specific area. Because I might want to drop 5 pins, but I'm not so confident about each of them. And then you see which are the areas that have the most red pins, which are the areas that have more controversial, more white and red, or red. You understand? You got the idea.
This could be easy to implement. I mean, in the opposite way. I don't know. Basically, if you chose like from 1 to 5, you choose 5, the pin automatically change color in red.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
whichever
yeah,
way is easy to implement. Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean, it's easy for experts because they can be, let's say, have multiple points to decide every time. They can, like, we have to think also about the time that they have, you know, to make easy easy things. This is what we're trying to do, like for them to not
Yuri,
like
if this is possible from a statistical point of view, it's very, very interesting. So thanks, Elizabeth, because in the same time, in this way, you can see the geographical distribution, that is the cloud of points, and also the statistical distribution of the rating.
The consensus, right, consensus. And then you can look which are the most interesting points. Where the most interesting are there where it's most red, and those where it's the most red and white, or whatever is the lowest. Why are people rating this way?
Yes.
It's interesting, yeah.
Very good, very good. Yes.
It's easy to implement. It's really interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you can do
this.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You can do, Yuri, very easy, I think, because it's
because it's just the color that change based on the rating.
Exactly.
Not,
you have the data. You have the data. You can change the color. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm just looking at time, and I'm thinking to slowly close the discussion question session, which so fluidly evolved. I think it was really nice today. Maybe final words from the two of you, then we can stop the recording, and then Busy, if you want to share something afterwards. Maybe we have time for that.
Yes, I think
Simone, totally overwhelmed now, or everything okay?
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Good.
It's okay. I'm going to share just the link about the form. If you have any other feedbacks, if you want to fill in maybe later, tomorrow, whatever you want, I'm going to share it just to acquire some feedbacks, let's say officially. All right.
Yeah, I think I wasn't expecting so many great ideas, so many application purposes. I think there was a really rich discussion today from my perspective. And I think, yeah, the list is long, probably. And we're excited to see the next version and try it together with you. I think with that, let's stop the recording maybe, and then